Thank you, Ray. That was, you told me you do your best to embarrass me, and you've accomplished that. And I thank everybody that's not only gathered here, here at the office of the Florida chapter, but virtually through this conference. I'm familiar with the stories of some of the folks who've received this kind of recognition in the past, and I know they set a pretty high standard. To be considered in that same conversation, in that same group, certainly is quite an honor. I know often we focus on our story, right? This is our opportunity to share our story, and we talk about the events leading up to the diagnosis. I really would like to focus on the events that happen after the diagnosis, because I think that's really where the secret lies. Anybody who's been in that position understands when I say we're in that ALS fog for a while. We're still trying to figure out what the heck do I do next? And we often equate that diagnosis with, that's just the end of our lives, we're done. But I have a phenomenal story post-diagnosis. And it started with my very first support group meeting. And it just so happens that lady who led that particular meeting happens to be here today. And I met 3 folks, patients like myself, that were much further along than I was, and were so eager to share their story, to help out, give all kinds of tips about this, that, or the other. My wife and I have been, during that time of our fog, we canceled all plans. Maybe we shouldn't travel for as much as we both do. Just put everything on hold. And here we have folks that are several years into this, barely able to move and speak, planning their next trip out to on a cruise and visiting their family and things like that. And I came out of that meeting understanding I was wrong. There's still quite a bit of life left to live. And not long after that, I went to my first walk, and all of a sudden, 3-4 folks that were in that support group meeting with their cows and there as well, all of a sudden turned into a few hundred. And I'm thinking, darn, there's a whole bunch of folks out there committed to this cause. And then a couple of months after that, I go to my first advocacy meeting out in Washington. And there's several hundred people out there, all dedicated to the same cause. And those individuals, whether they realize it or not, provided me purpose, which is key, is purpose. And then, as Ray said, I did in fact tell him, use me any way that you can. What he didn't know is that I just love to talk. And so any opportunity I have to just talk to whoever listened, whether they paid attention or not, was really not relevant. As long as I wasn't talking to myself, and even then, just point me in the right direction. Use me as your human PowerPoint, I believe was the rest of that sentence. And he did. And he just put me in every opportunity, and I spent the last 3 years just talk, which I enjoy tremendously. But of course, this time with a sense of purpose. And so I had an opportunity to do something with that sense of purpose. So now I have purpose, I have an opportunity, but I couldn't do that without the support and encouragement of my family and friends. It's not just about helping me get out of bed, getting me dressed, getting me fed, and propping me in front of a computer so that I can do all my talking to somebody, hopefully on the other side of the line. But it's the encouragement, and it's the support that you get every day. And I'll go even further, because at the end of the day, we don't do things for recognition. My mom, who also happens to be here with us, would have told me early on, you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, nothing else. Everything else is moot. So I struggle sometimes with recognitions like this, because that's not why we do what we do. We do it because it's the right thing to do. And that translates in our dealings with other people. Because at the end of the day, I mean, sure, it's great. This recognition is fantastic. I can't lie. It gives you a lot of pride, and that folks have noticed and appreciate what you've done. But it's really not about this moment. If those efforts help somebody else out there that I might have been new to the disease, they were also in that ALS fog, and they bumped into me, and I somehow, some way, were able to help them out the way those first individuals several years back helped me, then that's the real reward. And if there's some congressman or FDA employee that maybe their heart thaws out a little bit because I was able to show them the reality that we're facing and the urgency that around this disease, then that's the real reward. And it goes even beyond ALS. If we're in a situation or in a position that there's folks out there dealing with obstacles, difficulties in their life, whether it's ALS or anything else, and then they're able to look at my example and say, well, if this guy can do it in spite of everything, and he can still get up in the morning and face the day and find purpose, then so can I. That the real success comes in not stopping at and thinking about what we can't do, but to constantly be focused on the things that we can do. And that's really the real reward. And so for me, that's what this award is all about. It's the recognition of those rewards that go beyond these few minutes here today. There's an old proverb, right, that says, the one who plants a tree knowing he will never sit in its shade has began to understand the real meaning of life. And so my challenge to everybody here today that might be listening is, let's just go out and plant a whole bunch of trees and let a whole bunch of folks sit in that shade, whether we're there to join them or not, because it is our responsibility for those in the future. Not only take care of our own, but to prevent anybody else to have to be in this position. And so, right, thanks and for the recognition, I appreciate it.